Hi there, my name is Kay Moon, and I am a twin flame channel and Western astrologer. And this is a video about the 2019 Virgo New Moon for twin flames. Um, there's a lot to be said about this new moon. It is an extremely potent one, both for twin flames and non-twin flames. If you haven't already had the chance to watch the Virgo New Moon general video, I invite you to do that, as it will explain a lot more of the aspects than I will go into now. For this video, I'm going to focus more exclusively on the journey the Divine Feminine has been on this year and where she's headed, and the journey the Divine Masculine has been on this year and where he is headed. One of the overarching energies here with this new moon is some very specific Virgo energy. And in twin flame connections, this Virgo energy around the time of this new moon is really highlighted by the extended travel of Juno, the Divine Feminine, alongside Mercury, Sun, Mars, and Venus over the entire course of this year. This particular journey has really just kind of led up until this moment when the Divine Feminine is at a choice point in the year. She's at a choice point in her journey where she is being invited to make some very critical decisions about what she's going to do next. The reason this is so critical at this time is because at the tail end of this year, the Divine Feminine is going to take an extended stay in the sign of Libra. And that extended stay in the sign of Libra has to do with the Divine Feminine either choosing to put herself in a position to partner with somebody who may not be her Divine Masculine, or making herself available for the connection with her Divine Masculine in a way that he may step into or he may not. But her extended stay as the partnership asteroid in the sign of partnership here begins during Libra season. I believe we get there actually at the tail end of Libra season into Scorpio season. And if it's not, then it's just after that. But the point that I want to make here is that she's going to be there for 6 months, whereas this entire year she has moved through the wheel of the zodiac about a month at a time alongside all the other faster moving planets. The reason she's going to make this extended stay in the sign of Libra, sitting between the shaman's asteroid and the creation goddess, has to do with her retrograde motion in the sign of Libra. So as I said, this could be her having called forward a soulmate, any one of these Mars men who have tracked her this whole year, for an extended time of respite and healing and learning. It could also be that she comes into a position of truth with where her heart is at, and she decides a relationship with herself is what it is she most desires at this time, and she embarks on a 6-month mission to truly come into partnership and balance with herself while she sits inside Libra. And for other Divine Feminines, this is a moment when, as she rests in union with herself, once Juno takes her extended stay here in Libra coming up very soon, there is now a space for her Divine Masculine, if he is ready and if he so chooses, to come and sit with her. I'm not saying this will be without work, and I'm also not saying this will be for everyone. It simply depends on where you're at in your journey. But all of that possibility and what happens starts now with this Virgo new moon. And the reason why is because Virgo really represents discernment. whereas its opposite sign, Pisces, represents the all, the everything, the cosmic soup that we all come from, that we all go back to. It represents that space in between particles that holds things together, and the collective subconscious. Virgo is the exact opposite of all of that. It is the ability to pluck a something out of the nothing, give it a name, and therefore give it a meaning. With Virgo, you have the ability to choose, to decide. And I choose the word decide intentionally so that I can point out for you that decide is very much like pesticide, herbicide, homicide, suicide, etc. That ending to the word means to kill off all other options, to make it so that no other option is possible, and that the only option available is the one that was chosen. This Virgo new moon is really potent with decision energies. And this is a moment where moving in to that Juno retrograde in the sign of partnership and balance, where the divine feminine is being asked to make some choices about where she will go next in her journey as it pertains to her twin and as it pertains to her own life. Once again, this isn't to say that that decision is anchored forever and sealed in stone. This is a for now decision that will then impact the next 6 to 9 months of your life and your connection. So what's also being asked is for us to honor the truth of our hearts. Juno just had an extended stay in the sign just before Virgo in Leo. During that time in Leo, we were also visited by multiple eclipses. Also, during Cancer season, we were visited by multiple eclipses that would have made apparent the true desires of your heart as life circumstances changed around you in the areas of work, home, family, and relationship. The true desires of your heart now being known to you, this Mercury consciousness and communication, Juno partnership, Sun Moon conjunction, new cycles, and you only get one new moon in a sign per year. This is the Virgo new moon for this year. Make the decision that sets up the next 6 to 9, and for some of us, 12 months. Then we've got Mars, motivation and ambition. We've got Venus, that which we're drawn to and that which we call into us. With this kind of energy, what we're being asked is to take the heart energy and the clarity of heart that we had during the eclipse season, the awakenings that we had during eclipse season about what is our right next step, and to put that into action during this Virgo new moon season so that the next things can begin to unfold in alignment with what we have chosen. Okay, so that's really significant energy here, very significant. These are decisions, most decisions, it's invited that we don't take big decisions in our world lightly, but in particular this one, especially that Juno is here in her final stop after she'd been through everything for the last year, final stop before she sits in retrograde between the creation goddess and the shaman's asteroid. She makes the decision and then she lands almost as if to allow her egg to, what's it called when you rest on an egg to keep it warm? You incubate it so that it can hatch. There it is. Allow her egg, the choice of her egg, to hatch into the world once she begins to move direct again sometime, I believe it's in June 2020. All right. Big energies, big energies. So with Jupiter here, the divine masculine, sitting here in Sagittarius in his very first degree after having been retrograde since April. Now, the divine masculine went direct last month, or at the beginning, I think it was August 11th of this month. If you're listening to this in September, it would have been last month for you. With the divine masculine now moving in direct motion, 1 degree past its most retrograde point, this is an awakening that has been coming for months in his awareness about the truth, that Sagittarius, of his goals, hopes, and dreams, that is also Sagittarius. With Jupiter having moved retrograde, there would have been a period of time where the opposite sign's energy may have been manifest for him in his mind, heart, and field. That opposite energy is double energy. That's Gemini energy. That's both this and that energy. That's exploratory energy and curiosity energy. With Jupiter now moving direct in its home sign, we have the divine masculine moving out of that energy and into a unified field of consciousness about what his next steps are during this Virgo new moon. Interestingly, this Virgo new moon is square to Jupiter in certain ways. Now, most astrologers would not consider this an exact square or even report on it because there's a 10-degree, what they call orb here. They are 10 degrees apart. The new moon sits at 6 degrees Virgo, not at 15 degrees Virgo. Jupiter sits at 15 degrees Virgo, not at 6 degrees Sagittarius, or 15 degrees Sagittarius, not at 10 degrees Sagittarius. Often, astrologers will look for something in a much tighter configuration to call the energy active. However, in my work, I have seen that the energy is active if it is in the sign that is making the aspect. The degree to which it is active is reflected in the magnitude of the lessons you're being asked to learn at this time. If you've got this lesson, wider orbs probably really won't impact you. But if this is a lesson you're scheduled to be learning highlighted by other elements in your chart, then this aspect, you're going to feel it, even though it's a 10-degree orb. With Jupiter, the divine masculine, squaring this energy out here in Virgo, what we've got going on is a tension between his truth and the decisions he knows he needs to make in order to honor his truth. There is an awareness of the truth with Mercury there, conjunct Juno, the divine feminine, and conjunct this new moon cycle. There's an awareness of what decision needs to get made. And now with Jupiter direct, there is an awareness of what the truth is. Both are working hand in hand, but there is a tension here. How do I make this decision while also honoring things like who I am and where my north node is in my own chart, or the north node of our connection is, or the cycle that I may be in with another potential partner, or with work, or with money. This tension is causing the divine masculine on the outside. It may look like there is no movement because the divine masculine has not emerged from the retrograde zone yet. I don't believe he emerges until he gets to about 20 degrees Sagittarius, and that won't be until late this year. So it'll look like nothing is happening. However, on the inside, what the divine feminine and what the world cannot see is that the divine masculine is making at this new moon some very, very well thought out, well laid out plans and choices about how to honor his truth. The motivation also accompanies that with Mars conjunct this new moon. Mars and Moon typically are not friends. They end up creating a very passionate, sometimes explosive energy. But inside of this Virgo energy and alongside, we've also got Mercury and Juno and Sun. They have all been traveling together all year alongside Venus. We have this almost kind of softening of Mars for those who have been really tuning in to the higher octaves of Mars, where Mars is now bringing motivation, ambition, drive, ignition, get up and go energy to the awareness of both the truth out here in Sagittarius and the decisions that need to get made to honor the truth. As I said, careful, well laid out, thoughtful plans to be executed in the future. So, for those of you, whether you are divine masculine or divine feminine, listening to this information, I really ask that you send your counterpart a lot of love, a lot of peace, a lot of clarity, a lot of wisdom, and that you really imbue your field with as much truth as possible and their field with as much truth as possible, honoring the truth with your words and your actions, because that's going to facilitate smooth passage through this very interesting time period we have for the next month. What's also happening this month that's significant is Jupiter, the divine masculine, here in the sign of truth, is going to square Neptune. Now, this is the third square between Jupiter and Neptune this year. And this is very significant because this Jupiter-Neptune square is a main signature over the course of the year. Once again, for those of you who are on the other side, on the divine feminine side, you may have watched your divine masculine make some decisions under the influence of this square, which brings disillusionment, deception, illusions, an inability to face the truth, some escapism. This is now for the third time that square being placed inside of their awareness, so that they are very capable of now seeing the truth for what it is. You, as divine feminine, have been aware of the truth for some time all along. As you moved through, you went through Pisces season, conjunct Neptune and all the illusions earlier this year. This would have been back in February, January. Then you moved through Aries and you reemerged and things got a little bit lighter. In Taurus season, you would have had the first starting feeling of returning to yourself and who you are. That would have been the beginning of the divine feminine's new year. Gemini season, this emergence was then accompanied by Mars's catching up with Juno, and this would have been the influx of a lot of other masculine energies, not your divine masculine, being drawn to you. Cancer season, we had all the eclipses run through the chart, and those eclipses bring even more awareness and awakening to the divine feminine about who she is and what she wants. In Leo season, that heart truth would have been palpable to her and clear to her. Now in Virgo season, it's about making decisions to honor that truth. What will you decide? From her perspective, if you think about these as cars on a road, this tricky planet, Neptune, again, lowest octave, illusions, deception, dissolving things, washing them away, like sand washing away into the ocean. The divine feminine would have seen Jupiter from multiple vantage points all year long. Her initiation and recognition of where things were either out of alignment or she had been kidding herself or things, it was time to let certain things go, would have been in her awareness all the way up through this point, as Mercury has also been traveling with her and touching her communication and consciousness this entire year along the way. However, in the divine masculine's case, Mercury hasn't touched him yet for the entire year. Mercury is getting ready to touch him as he moves to the end of the year. Not only that, but this entire year, because Jupiter takes an entire year to move through one sign, Jupiter's been squaring Neptune, which would have had him take a very deep journey into the world of illusions all year long and asked him to separate truth from lies, fact from fiction, honesty from deception, both within himself and in his own heart as it pertains to the truth of his desires, goals, hopes, and dreams, because look where he sits in Sagittarius, the sign of his hopes, desires, and dreams. This would have been him awakening to that all year long by living inside of a fun house, essentially, where the mirrors are all warped. You can't tell if you're walking forwards or backwards. The lights are going on and off. This is him learning how to navigate by the light within himself. So, again, this is why it's a very critical choice point for the divine feminine, as it for her may have seemed this entire year nothing was happening. If you're standing on the outside of a fun house and you have no idea what's going on inside, yeah, it can look like nothing is happening and like you've lost your person to the fun house ate them, and they're never coming back. That is actually not the case. As I said, with the divine masculine emerging from that into that very first degree of its furthest retrograde point, the farthest it was going to go, and now having turned direct on August 11th, this is the divine masculine gaining speed and momentum toward that which he knows is true, with one final test in front of him. The very first time he would have been tested this year was during January. That was when the first time this square between Jupiter and Neptune would have occurred. Now he was tested again. They were both direct at that time. He would have been tested a second time during Jupiter's retrograde. So then Jupiter moved into retrograde motion, and this was in June when the first eclipses began. You may have heard during that time that some level of cataclysm had occurred in your divine masculine's life, or some level of significant change, or you may only be hearing about that now, or you will hear about it on the other side of Jupiter's emergence from the retrograde zone sometime later this year. Now he's got a third test coming, this time with Neptune retrograde. That first time, it's like I don't know if you guys know that parable about the first time you walk down a street, you fall into a hole, and you're like, oh damn, I fell in a hole. You get out. The next time you're walking down the same street, you see the hole coming and you think, wow, I guess I will try to hop over the hole, but you fall in. And then you get out and you're like, wow, that didn't work. I guess I'm going to try and get out. The third time you come walking down the street and you look and you go and you try another approach to get over the hole, you still fall in. The fourth time you look down that same street and you finally go, yeah, I'm not walking down that street anymore. You decide to take another way. So with this Jupiter squaring Neptune for the third and final time this year, first time they were both direct, second time Jupiter was retrograde. This may have been him overtaken by pessimism and not making decisions based on that lens of things being quite darkened. This third time, this is a tricky one because this is him being overtaken by optimism. Illusion is hidden. He's now got momentum toward the direction of his goals and dreams, but illusion is still there with this square. So now he's being asked to have that final look at this street and say, what are you going to do? How are you going to handle this? For those of you that know your divine masculine is in a relationship with somebody else and you guys are not friends, you may not be hearing about any of this. But for those of you who are in communication with your divine masculine, you may be hearing about some of this. For those of you who are getting very frequent readings, some of this may have appeared in your readings and been quite confusing, as it looked like he was coming out of that relationship, then he went back into that relationship, and then he's coming out and he comes back. This is why. Because of the journey that he's been on this entire year in that conversation with Neptune. I think I referenced this during the Divine Masculine's New Year video. So if you want to have an understanding about the journey the Divine Masculine's been on for the entire year, I think that would have been the Aries New Moon. You can go back and have a listen to that. So, very significant moment of decision. The other interesting thing here is that by T-square, the divine masculine and the divine feminine are also facing some interesting energies. as I said, these are not exact energies. Most astrologers would not consider them exact. I report on them because I understand that if these are lessons that you're in the thick of learning, you're still going to feel their influence even at a wider orb. And again, if you want me to look at your chart to see kind of where you and your DM are at, let me know. Just email me at chrysalismoon@gmail.com, KRYSALISMOON@gmail.com. And we can take a look in what area of life or area of the charts that kind of energy of fooling oneself may be in the chart so you can avoid it. I spoke with one woman earlier this year, and this energy was pertaining to some of her taxes and like money owed, etc. And she's since started the process of cleaning those up. So now, like, she's not walking down that street anymore. And when karma moves through that area of her chart, she's going to be in right order, and karma can then leave her a gift instead of kind of rubbing her face in the mud that she needs to clean up. So definitely let me know. T-square, right. So here's this energy out in the discerning sign of Virgo that's anchored by Juno, right? Juno, partnerships. Then we've got this illusionary energy out here in Pisces in opposition to all of that in Virgo. For the divine feminine, if you think about this as driving down a road, you can see oncoming traffic very clearly and you know how to avoid it and stay on your side of the road. But for the divine masculine, this energy, this is like approaching a blind intersection, a blind 90-degree angle where you are coming down the block, but you still can't see some of the other stuff that's coming 90 degrees toward that same intersection on a collision course. So in his case, he's got one more kind of moment of having the wool pulled back from his eyes and seeing the truth for what it is before he gets to a place of being like, all right, I'm ready to make some new choices. By the time that occurs, he'll be at the tail end of the funhouse, the very last of the funhouse experiences. And those experiences will be happening as he moves into Capricorn. And all of this energy around the decisions that he's making right now about the things that are true for him in his heart, he'll be ready to put the rubber to the road, the pedal to the metal, and make them manifest in the physical world as Jupiter starts to gain momentum in Capricorn and then joins Saturn, South Node, Chariklo, and Pluto. It will not be an easy process or ride for many of them. But again, this is why I am forewarning you as divine feminines that this big change and big energy is coming. You're going to want to make some choices about where you want to place yourself, given that this energy is coming. All of us have masculine and feminine energies within us. That is not... you may find that this energy is playing out for you as a divine feminine around certain things that you've had illusions around in your own world. And your divine masculine may also be feeling that there is some partnership energy and partnership decisions that he needs to make at this time around business and romance and housing that, you know, he can see that these are going to impact the next 6 to 12 months of his life once he makes these decisions. That being said, it is really important to for all of us, align ourselves as Jupiter moves direct with our truth and align ourselves with our highest ideals in our actions, so that, especially with Mars trying this new moon, we are going to bring into fruition by our action things that facilitate the highest expression of the unconditional love we've been initiated into as twins. So, like I said, if you'd like to have a look at all of this in your chart, email me, you'll get the autoresponder. It will explain how to book a session. I am now booking into the last 2 weeks of September. The priority listers during August took up all of the first 2 weeks of September, so I will not be releasing the first 2 weeks of September calendar to the public. If you know you want a reading with me in September to think through how this Virgo energy is playing out in your chart, your twins chart, your union chart, what you're being asked to learn, so you can lay the foundation now for 2020 with your decisions today, then we should do a reading in the second half of September. There will only be so many, and once the priority listers kind of fill them up, once again, I don't release them to the public. So if you know you for sure want to talk to me in September, the thing to do would be to email now and pay now, and then as soon as the calendar becomes available, the priority listers are given first pick of the slots for the second 2 weeks of September. Thank you so much for liking the video. If you're finding resonance in this, sharing the video with other twins, friends, and fam for whom you know are going through similar things. It helps to spread the awareness so that we can all move forward in preparation. I'm super grateful for you, and I look forward to seeing you in the comments, the next video, or in a reading. Take great care.